attraction, female psychology, emotional connection, and how relationships exactly work in today's world. Today, we're talking about something most men completely misunderstand. Relotef. Men believe that the more they chase a woman, the more attractive they become to her emotionally. So, they keep texting first, keep checking in, keep making themselves constantly available because deep down, they believe stopping means losing her completely. But honestly, what many men never realize is this. Sometimes, the moment a man stops chasing us, the moment a woman finally starts feeling his absence emotionally, because when someone becomes constantly available, predictable, and always present, the mind slowly stops paying attention, the same way. But the moment that energy changes, suddenly, her thoughts become louder, her emotions more active, and questions she never had to ask before start appearing in her mind naturally. Because what actually happens inside a woman's mind when a man pulls his energy back is much deeper psychologically than most men have ever been told. The first thing that happens when you stop chasing is your mind becomes louder, not quieter, and honestly, this is the part most men ever see, because externally it may look like nothing is happening at all. So many men instantly assume she moved on, stopped caring, or forgot about them completely. But, psychologically that is usually not what is happening inside her mind. When your attention was constant, your presence slowly became not necessarily unwanted, just expected. She knew you'd text first, check in, stay emotionally available, and continue showing interest no matter what. Because of that certainty, she never had to fully feel your emotional absence. But the moment you stop chasing quietly, something changes internally for her. Suddenly, her mind starts asking questions it never needed to ask before. Why did his energy? Did I lose him emotionally? Talking to somebody else now? Why do I suddenly miss his attention more than before? Honestly, this is where many women begin thinking about a man much more deeply than they ever did while he was constantly available. Because absence creates emotional awareness in ways constant presence often cannot. This thing that happens when you stop chasing is she starts questioning everything she thought she understood about you. Honestly, this creates more emotional impact than most men realize because certainty keeps people emotionally relaxed, but uncertainty forces the mind to become active. Before were easy for her to understand. She knew you liked her. She knew you would reach out. She knew your attention was always there. Because of that, she never had to think deeply about you. You became but the moment that pursuit sippers, her perception of you starts shifting completely. Now, she begins wondering if she misunderstood you. Then to your time, did he lose interest? Was it too distant? Did I take his attention for granted? Was he actually more valuable than I realized? Honestly, discomfort creates emotional engagement. The moment certainty disappears, emotional curiosity starts growing atomically. She begins replaying past conversations differently. Small moments suddenly feel more important than before. Even your silence starts carrying emotional meaning inside her mind. And this is where many women slowly become emotionally intrigued by a man they previously thought they had completely figured out. The third thing that happens when you stop chasing SER. Absence slowly becomes more emotionally attractive than your constant presence ever was. Honestly, many men struggle accepting this because they believe attractionally grows through more effort, more attention, and more availability. Human psychology does not always work that way emotionally. When someone knows they can access you at any moment without uncertainty, your presence slowly becomes emotionally familiar. Again, not necessarily unwanted, just she knows you will always better, always reply, always pursue, always keep the connection alive no matter what happens. But the moment that pattern disappears, your value starts feeling different psychologically. Now there is uncertainty, emotionally. Suddenly, she notices your absence in places where your energy used to exist naturally. She noticed when you stop reaching out first. She notices when your attention is no longer constantly surrounding her, emotionally, and honestly. That space often makes your presence feel stronger than before Beck, as now she actually has room to feel what is missing emotionally. Because people often realize most clearly after the constant availability disappears. Fourth thing that happens when you stop chasing us, she finally starts confronting real feelings for you instead of simply reacting to your attention. Honestly, This is where things become a mech deeper psychologically, because many women do not fully recognize their emotional attachment to a man, while he's constantly pursuing them. When you are always chasing, her role stays emotionally passive. She does not need to ask herself difficult questions. Base your attention already keeps the connection emotionally alive. She can simply receive your effort without fully examining what she actually feels. But the moment your pursuit stops, something changes internally. Nosh has to face a question she avoids. Do I actually miss him, or do I only miss the attention he gave me? Honestly, many women become surprised by their own answer, because suddenly things begin triggering emotional reactions she did not expect. Memorizes her review. Song brings your energy back into her mind. She checks your phone, hoping your name appears, even though she refuses to admit it openly. And this is where real emotional attachment often becomes clear for the first time, because now the feelings are coming from inside her own mind, not from your constant pursuit. Emotional ignorant her all the time. The fifth thing that happens when you stop chasing us, she often feels your silence much more deeply than she will ever admit. And honestly, this is where menomon become confused, because externalish may still appear completely calm, normal, and emotionally unaffected. So naturally, men assume nothing matteretto her, but psychologically, people often hide emotional impact much better than they reveal it publicly, especially when pride, vulnerability, and emotional uncertainty become involved, because admitting your absence affected her means admitting she cared more than she showed before. And honestly, many women struggle with that emotionally because it forces them to confront feelings they were previously avoiding comfortably. So instead of openly expressing it, Chiffon internalizes it quietly. She checks whether you viewed her stories, notices when you were online, but do not contact her, replays old conversations spritly, thinks about what she would see if you suddenly reached out again. And the interesting part is that none of this usually becomes visible externally. On the outside, she may still act emotionally controlled, but internally, her silence often creates much more emotional movement than most men avert, because people who truly feel nothing usually do not spend time emotionally monitoring your absence at her. The sixth thing that happens when you stop chasing is you finally begin seeing her real level of interest clearly, instead of staying trapped inside confusion. Honestly, this is Sony of the most important part psychologically, because constant chasing often hides the truth from many. When you are always initiating, always reaching out first, always carrying the energy of the connection, she never truly has to reveal how much effort she is willing to make herself. Your pursuit keeps everything moving, so her real emotional investment stays hidden comfortably in the background. But the moment you step back, the dynamic changes completely. Now she has to decide, does she actually want to keep this connection alive emotionally, or was she simply enjoying the attention, validation, and emotional comfort you kept providing constantly? Honestly, what happens next usually tells you everything. Woman who genuinely feels emotionally connected will usually find some way to reconnect eventually, even subtly. Maybe a message, a reaction, a random excuse to start conversation again, because emotionally, losing your presence completely does not feel right to her. But if nothing happens at all, then painful as it may feel, you finally receive clarity instead of emotional confusion. Honestly, clarity is always healthier than endlessly chasing someone who was never emotionally moving towards you in the first place. The seventh thing that happens when you stop chasing is she finally gives you her real emotion. Honestly, this is the biggest misunderstanding many men have about attraction, because they believe a constant pursuit keeps a woman emotionally focused on them. But in many situations, the opposite happens. When everything is predictable, emotionally available and durant, the mind slowly relaxes. There is no emotional tension, no uncertainty, no curiosity, forcing deeper thought. Your attention simply becomes part of her normal routine. But the moment you stop chasing, her emotional awareness becomes active again. Now she notices your absence. Now she notices silence. Now she notices the emotional space where your energy, useto, exist constantly. And honestly, this is where many women begin thinking about a man more intensely than ever before, because now their own emotions are involved actively instead of passively receiving attention all the time. Listen carefully, because this matters most. This is not about manipulation, not about punishment, not about pretending not to care. Man who stopped chasing because he genuinely